Hello everyone, welcome to road.cc. Now, at the beginning of the year, we gave this, the Ribble Endurance SLE, the much vaunted title of E-road Bike of the Year here on road.cc. Now, there's a link to the website review in the description below, and if you've got any comments, questions about this bike, ask them below. We'll try to help you out. Now, this was Ribble's first E-road bike. When I wrote the review, I said, as a first shot in the E-road bike market, it's as close to a bullseye as you could reasonably hope to get. So, on the occasion of Ribble launching the bike again in this rather nice fetching anthracite grey, we're going to revisit what makes this, for us, the pick of the bunch right now. If you're a seasoned cyclist and someone says Ribble to you, you might think first of, good value, metal, winter training bikes. It's a traditional brand and that's the kind of traditional image, but Ribble has been working really hard to change that. So there's a raft of new models, and the Endurance SLE is very much part of that. It borrows much of its design from the Endurance SL and SLR models, the latter of which is the bike that Ribble's Pro team have been riding. Now, endurance sounds like endurance, so maybe that makes you think of more of a kind of upright sportive bike, but that's not really what we have here. The stack to reach ratio of this bike's about 1.4, which is pretty racy, not far from a lot of the road bikes you see in the Pro Peloton, and this frame design has been ridden in the Pro Peloton. Now, the frame isn't a full aero design, but a lot of aerodynamic work has been done. So compared to the non-powered models, this down tube is a bit wider, so that gives room for the e-bike Motion X35 battery that sits in here. But elsewhere, it keeps a lot of the aero touches, a lot of truncated airfoil profiles. We've got some drop seat stays here. We've got fully internal cable routing through the stem here. It looks tidy, and it's really, on second glance only that you'd notice that it was an e-bike, and that's if you noticed at all. I mean, when I was reviewing it, I went out on some quite long rides with some quite serious cyclists, and some of them didn't even notice the glowing button and the hub motor at all. And really, that's all there is to show for the e-bike system on the surface. There's a button here which you control the assistance with. It also doubles as your battery gauge, and then the power is applied here in a rear hub motor at the back. It's a pretty simple system. It's not as complex as something like the Fazua Min motor or Specialized's new SL motor they're using, but that means it's cheaper and it's also lighter. This bike in front of me is an Ultegra Di2 build in medium size, and it weighs in at 11.4 kilos. Now, you can get lighter e-bikes than that, but there aren't that many. And if you want to save on the weight here, you can spec this through Ribble's bike builder up to a Dura Ace Di2 build. And also there's a color option on there, so if you don't like this new gray, you can have pretty much whatever you want, really, or a combination of whatever you want. Now, the motor at the back here, that's rated at 40 Newton meters of torque. It's more of a gentle push than something like a Bosch, but it's still a useful helping hand. And with the motor turned off, there's very little resistance in the system over and above what you'd normally find. That's also good when you're above 25 kilometers an hour, because that's the assistance limit. So that and the weight of the bike means that you don't need the motor a lot of the time, really, and that means that the range of this bike is a lot bigger than you might think. Now, I'm a pretty heavy rider, and I don't tend to hold back on the assistance on the climbs. Why would you? But I still managed to get over 100 kilometers out of this bike without running out of juice. And even if you do run out of juice, it's not that much of a problem, really. It's not that much of a heavy bike to get home under your own steam. If you do want to extend the life of the battery, obviously this is internal, so you can't take it out or you can't bring another one with you, but the charger's not very big. You can sling it in a frame bag here, or possibly in a rucksack, and then, if you stop at a cafe and buy enough cake, asked to use a power socket, I wouldn't have thought it'd be a problem for an hour. Now, the ride itself on this bike I would describe as purposeful. So it's not an endurance platform in the sense of giving you a very soft ride. The frame's nice and stiff. You get quite a lot of feedback through the handlebars and through the saddle. It's not uncomfortable. The carbon seat post has got a bit of flex. It's worth investing in some carbon bars as well when you spec it up, and it's worth getting some good quality 28mm tyres. which soak up a lot of the road chatter too. I'd say in this kind of build, it's kind of in the sweet spot of feeling fast without being harsh. And in this build, the SLE costs just under 5 grand. And the cheapest build with Tiagra and alloy finishing kit is just over half that. So you still get the same carbon frame, you still get the same motor system, just keep cheaper kit on there. We've got here Ultegra Duo 2 group set, we've got Mavic Cosmic carbon wheels, got a level integrated carbon cockpit here, carbon seat post, Fizikarione saddle, so you know, good quality stuff. And you know, even without the motor, from some manufacturers, if you're speccing up a bike with those kind of components, you'd be looking at about 5 grand anyway. So, you know, this isn't a cheap bike, but it does represent a lot of bike for the money. One thing to point out is if you are going to upgrade the wheels at any point, then the time to do it is when you buy them, because you have to build this rim obviously into the hub motor, and that adds cost. These Cosmics are £600 upgrade, and the RRP is twice that. So, you know, it's definitely, if it's something you're thinking of doing, then it's definitely worth doing it at that point. So there you go, that is the Ribble Endurance SLE, which is our e-road bike of the year, and I can thoroughly recommend it. I've spent quite a lot of time on it, done some big rides on it, and really like it. So there we go. If you've got any questions about this bike, any of the build, any of the motor system stuff, then ask them in the comments below and we'll get them answered for you. And don't forget to like and subscribe if you want to see more like this on road.cc. Cheers.